it to work is a real challenge. Well, it has been for me. Um, so yeah, okay, I'll check out the now. Let me see, I guess what website would you suggest going to for these nonprofits?
Oh, so I think they wrote it on there. It's in the chat. It says catchafire.org.
Oh, Catch a Fire. Oh,
Yep. And then just use Udemy. Udemy.com, I think.
So, Sean, if you don't mind, because you're my proxy here, can you share your screen?
Yeah. Oh.
And then,
And might not.
you can actually see.
I was going to ask a question real quick. Why have you, Richard, why have you decided to focus on Angular rather than React? And have you worked with React?
So no, I haven't worked with React. React is actually the better one to go with because it's more new. It's starting to catch on within the professional world. But like I'm more familiar with Angular, and I'm trying to get the hang of that because from what I'm seeing, a lot of companies, a lot of projects, apps are using Angular. It's a mix between the two, but
Yeah.
I want to get the hang of Angular. Like I'm
Okay.
not too far off from getting the hang of it pretty good. But once I get that down, then I'll start looking into React. Like I've touched on React just a little bit.
Okay. Well, I posted a link in the chat. This is, and we were discussing metagame a little bit ago. The way that compensation works within metagame is there's a computer system called SourceCred that analyzes GitHub, Discourse, and Discord, and based on a calculation as to who's making the most contributions and which contributions are the most valuable. And GitHub contributions are weighted really highly. Like if you submit a pull request, if you look at the code, submit a pull request, then you will get XP. And then once a month they mint seeds, and seeds are liquidity backed and they carry value. So you get paid for, in this case, it's a React app though. It is in TypeScript, but it is React, and it's backed by a system called Hasura. But it's Web3. It's an interesting system. You might at least take a look at it.
I've never heard of something like this. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely new and cutting edge. I mean, it's been in existence for a few months, but all of the software and stuff that's backing it is just now coming into existence.
Wow, man, that's high tech.
I think if you were going to do it, though, you'd want to do the course first, whatever it is. If it's Angular or React or whatever, do the course. But then, yeah, you need to do a project, but it'd be good to have you need someone to ask, like you're saying, there's like nowhere to go. You need like a mentor to like, okay, I'm stuck.
We do pair programming a lot of the time.
That would really help. Well, for
Yeah.
me.
Well, there a lot of times if someone wants to pair, they're able to find someone who will pair with them and help them work out whatever they're stuck on, because there's a lot of issues. I mean, it's a complex system. It's a lot of software that's been written already, but usually people can find someone to pair with them.
Yeah.
And off speaker. Yeah, so this is a very nice coincidence because I hadn't even considered my cryptocurrency life interacting so well with learning to code and getting a job life, because it is a new revenue model. Like Metagame and these other collectives are like distributed corporations or distributed organizations. And like dysbulic was telling us, they issue like essentially shares of stock, which are traded. So when he says, there are a lot of unfamiliar terms that may be unfamiliar to some of you, but having liquidity means that it's publicly traded. And so the token you get by playing this game or contributing to GitHub, you can sell for cash if you want to on the open market. And that is getting easier, but it's still not completely intuitive for the everyday user, but you can do it. And the fact that you can get work this way is pretty new. It's probably can only happen in the year 2021. And I'm exploring it myself. I don't know of anyone making their full-time living doing this, but dysbulic probably knows whether that is possible or not possible. And it's something we can explore together. And then in terms of finding a mentor, this group I hope will function as that. You can always come here and ask us, and we'll do our best. There are a lot of us with more heads, have more experiences to share, and each person, of course, is just sharing their own opinion. So weight it with a grain of salt. Ask many different opinions, and yeah, me, SMIT, Carl, the organizers, we're available anytime if you have concerns. But we hope that this group will be sort of like your mastermind, your group of mentors, or your kitchen cabinet of where to go next in life as well.
Well, I just posted a link on the chat regarding NPTEL. There are a lot of cool and important courses that they have over there on the site. And for anyone who's doing university studies, either undergrads or grads, for all the fields, but for us, since we are focusing on computer science and software engineering, they do have a ton of courses, university courses. So if anyone wants to check the courses out and learn from there, I just put the link in the chat. It goes by nptel.ac.in/course.
Thanks, Smith.
Yeah.
And then also paste to Discord. So those of you on the Discord, when you share a link, also share it there as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that as well. Okay, let me post it once again. I think someone cannot see it. I'll just repost it. And if you guys can just click on it and come onto the page and give a thumbs up, I think. Could you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? And it can be, things that you're studying now. That can be actual like programming language questions. I know a lot of things have come up, like leet code. Are they useful programming problems? We can definitely work a few of those next. So, after the question and answer section is pair programming. And that's when we actually like, choose problems and work together and have a nice discussion. People mention Udemy, and of course, Free Code Camp is the base from which we all start with. If you don't know where to start, we always recommend start with Free Code Camp. But any other questions? And again, it can be about career interviewing, how to manage jobs, how to manage coworkers.
Just post the leet code site that's free.
Oh, exorcism. Okay, that sounds like a cult, poltergeist.
I think it's actually that's really nice.
Great question. Is there an amateur level coding and practice website online?
Yeah, it's this.
Oh, it's that one. Okay. Sean says it's this one. And I guess the amateur level coding, by that, do you mean beginner or just like non-professional? Because I think a lot of people on HackerRank and LeetCode, which are or Codility or these coding problem websites, they're amateur in the sense that most people are on there to get a job, but once they get a job, most people don't continue to hang out on there. Although there are probably a few really competitive people who won the informatics Olympiad in high school, and they just train because they're beasts about it all the time. But okay, beginner and non-professional. So I would say LeetCode and HackerRank are sort of the two most well-known programming problem websites, and you can choose any level. So you can start at very easy beginner, and then they go up to grandmaster, advanced, basically informatics Olympiad ones. Okay, and then dysbulic is posting some good information about how to get started with metagame if you're a developer. Yeah, so I would recommend to take a look at HackerRank and LeetCode as well. And we can do that, I would think about what problem you would like to work on, because we'll do an example of pair programming in a bit. And just to show you the process, so it's a teaching method, which I think deserves to be much more well-known. So I prefer it to lecturing or reading or anything else. And the way it works is that you usually have two people, and one person is the driver. So this person is sitting in front of a computer at the keyboard typing, and the other person is the navigator, and they're sitting next to it. So the image in mind is like, your favorite buddy cop movie or road trip movie where, the driver is the one steering, but then the navigator is sitting next to them with a map. But they're both focused, they're both in it together. And, as a result, they're not checking Facebook, they're not like chatting, they're trying to solve this problem together, they're trying to get to a goal together. And the best pair programming is like at the end, you have the same piece of code and you commit it to GitHub, if you know what Git is. And you take turns. And so, like in any road trip, you get tired. It's always great to have your buddy next to you, just like offer to drive, and you switch. And then you go back and forth, because doing anything over and over again, even a fun road trip, even if you love driving, it wears on you after a while. So that's the principle. And you may be wondering, well, how can we do that when we're not sitting next to each other, and some of us are in other countries, and it's the pandemic, and lots of things are going on? Well, Zoom has a great feature called remote control. And normally I would offer my computer up and let you control it. And, everyone promises not to type anything harmful. But since I don't have a computer right now, and also whoever's computer gets typed into actually gets the most benefit. So when I used to tutor computer science students online, all the work would happen on their computer. And occasionally, I would assume remote control and help them out, but mostly I would be guiding them to type it themselves. And then after the lesson is over, they have everything, they typed most of it themselves. The knowledge went from the brain through their nervous system, out of their fingers, into their computer. And that's how I learned, is from experience. Some visual, some reading, listening, a lot of talking to people, and then a lot of just doing it myself and making mistakes. And that's the way I would recommend it for all of you, unless you know for a fact that you learn better some other way. So I will ask for a volunteer, and I kind of volunteer Sean, because she's sitting next to me. Can you share your screen, your whole desktop, if that's okay? And
you'll have to either make me the host or show me how to. This is supposed to say attendees screen share.
Yes, that is.
There's got to be a way that you can do it without making me the host, but I always go through this meetings every time.
No, it is true.
Or you can make me the host and then I can switch it back.
Security. All right, try sharing again.
Oh, that works. Okay.
Okay, let's see Sean's screen. Zoom right now. And what we'll do is I'll ask Sean to go to freecodecamp.com. Okay, and before we, I guess, get too much started, SMIT, do you mind saying a few words about what Free Code Camp is and what is some interesting things about it? And
Sure.
Yeah, basically the great introduction you had last time.
Okay. I would need the remote control, so I'll just ask for it.
Oh, great. It's going to be remote control in action, so you can see. So Sean, go ahead and accept his request.
Right.
You may have to, in accessibility for Mac, because it is a security risk for sure, letting an application like Zoom. So you may have to click the lockbox icon at the bottom left of that window to allow changes, and then enter in your root password, which will be hidden, thankfully, because we're all watching. But now you know it's like 5 characters long. So. And then, yeah, and then SMIT, try requesting again, please.
All right. I think I can already have the access of it. I have the option of giving up the remote control. I don't have the option of requesting for it once again. Okay, let me give up, and I have requested once again. Okay, I can control Sean's screen, it says. Yeah, I can. All right. So I think we need to sign in.
SMIT, if it's okay with you, yeah, just log in with yours.
Well, if Sean has an account, he
Sean
can
says he doesn't
sign in.
have.
He doesn't have one?
He says he doesn't, unfortunately.
Does he want
okay.
to share his? Would that not be easier?
Okay, let me see. I hope I remember my password.
Actually, SMIT, it might be easier if you share your screen.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be much better if I share it.
Okay. Sean, thanks for humoring us. You can go ahead and stop sharing, and then SMIT, please share and
Sure.
walk us through Free Code Camp. And then while you're doing that, I'll answer this quick question from AP,
Righty.
which is, what languages do you recommend to start and take transition? It's a longer question. We'll let SMIT give an introduction to Free Code Camp, and then I'll ask for clarification about what you mean, AP, because it sounds like a good question for everyone too.
Okay. All right. So this is the homepage of Free Code Camp, wherein we have almost 10 courses that Free Code Camp is offering us for free. And it takes, as it says, about 300 hours of practice if we are, total beginners to finish the courses. And one of the good things about all the courses is that if we are just doing them for getting the certifications, and if we are already done with all the topics, have learned them, then we do have 4 to 5 projects at the end of all the courses, which we need to get done with to claim the certification. So if any of us are just doing it for getting the credentials, then that is one of the ways we can do it really fast without having to go through all the content that Free Code Camp is offering. One thing about Free Code Camp that it says is that before getting done with almost 3 to 4 of the courses of the first 5 courses, it's very likely, as it says, that we can find a job. And so yeah, we do have a section for coding interview preparations as well, wherein we can find a ton of questions for practicing for the coding interviews. And one more thing that I've noticed about one of the courses that we have over here, which is this scientific computing with Python. This is the course that's also offered on Coursera. They call it Python for Everybody. It's one of the courses that's offered by University of Michigan. Dr. Charles Sorensen is the professor. And, I think it costs us around $40+ to get the certification over there, but the same course is here by the name Scientific Computing with Python. And again, if we are already done with all the topics and know them well, we can start with the projects, submit them, and claim for the certification. Now, apart from all these 10 free courses that Free Code Camp is offering, there are about 7,000 plus text-based and video tutorials that we have on the site. And almost all the technical topics are getting covered over here. Uh, you know, so yeah, if we just want to search for, say, Git, we can just go ahead with the search, and we'll have a lot of articles wherein a lot of them are going to be text based and a few of them are going to be video based ones, which will redirect us to YouTube. So that is about Free Code Camp, and it is really one of the good sources to start with. Like I said, a lot of people have been able to obtain uh, jobs from doing the Free Code Camp courses. And I think the full stack certificate that they are offering is after the first 5 courses. But just before, or even before getting done with those 5 courses, there is a high ratio of people who are already getting the job. So that is the good thing about it. And yeah, handing it over to you, Paul.
Thanks, Matt. That was a great introduction. And we don't know all the people in this meetup because there are too many people for sure, but there's probably a few who have gotten jobs through Free Code Camp. We just don't know who they are yet. And I'll ask Ray, the previous meetup organizer, if he knows as well, because it would be great to invite them back and sort of like listen to their experience as well, because 300 hours for the first course is a substantial investment of time.
Yeah,
but it's not impossible, right? You could imagine, most humans could get through it with enough support or determination if they knew there was an internship or a job at the end of it. So that is a thing we'll work on, and we'll report back so all of you can know more about what's down the line for more experienced Free Code Campers. So what I'd like to do now is to demonstrate pair programming, and we'll be doing it again with remote control through Zoom. And I will work through Sean because he's here. And let's choose Sean. Do you have a LeetCode account or an account on one of the programming problem websites like LeetCode, HackerRank?
Yeah, I'm Exorcism.
Exorcism, great. Let's start with Exorcism. So SMIT, go ahead and stop your screen share if you haven't already, and then Sean will share.
Yeah, I'm not sharing it right now. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Oh, and I'll respond briefly. So AP, can you say more what you mean to best language to start and take transition? Do you mean what's the best language to learn gradually? I mean, it seems like you're proposing what sequence of languages to start with, like maybe start with C and then move on to C++. Is that what you're asking? What the best sequence of learning languages is?
Yep. So I wanted to know which one will be the best one to start with. Like usually people go with C, C++, then go to another language, and that's how you relate that, right? So if you can, because I'm totally new to this, and yeah, those inputs will be of great help for me.
Well, this is a great question, and I'm sure everyone has an opinion. So everyone, people, feel free to speak up. What programming language would you start with, and what would you learn next for AP?
Because that's what many times we hear from the people that there is something called as Angular, something with Python, and which we have never heard about, and we don't know if we should have learned it earlier, and what point of time we should be exploring it.
Starting with a language like C, in C, you have to manage the memory. You have to actually tell the machine, I want to reserve a block of memory, and then use it, and then you have to release the memory. And a lot of languages like JavaScript and Python do the virtual machine does the memory management for you. And so they're significantly easier to not have. It's just that's a huge pain in the butt to have to worry about that stuff. I've always worked best by having a project that I wanted to accomplish. If I was starting from nothing now, I would probably start with JavaScript with the goal of making some simple web app. I don't know what your web app would do, but something relatively straightforward. Yeah, and we're looking at the JavaScript track on Exorcism.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just going to say JavaScript is probably what I'd go with, just for it's a fairly expressive language, and it's what so much software is being written in currently because it's what the web runs on.
But
Thank
it will also depend on meeting. It'll depend on your goals. Like, do you want to make apps? Because then you would start with Java rather than JavaScript. But the like, if you're going to do a website, you'd want to start with HTML and CSS, even though those are just markup languages. But that's what, and also a lot easier. Like he was saying, if you start with, I started with C and it drove me insane until I switched to JavaScript. You literally have to compile everything, and it doesn't work in real time, and you can't. I don't know. It was really hard. Some languages are a lot harder, but like real software development's done in like C++ and C# and stuff like that. So it depends on the job that you want. But I think the learning curve is probably a lot harder than learning in JavaScript. Seems like it anyway.
Thanks, Sean. I want to welcome Carl, who just joined us. He's the third co-organizer. Carl, would you like to introduce yourself and say what you are learning right now and something interesting that you learned in the past week? Maybe we should give Carl a minute to get settled in. So, okay, let's go to exorcism with. Well, actually, yeah, the question of which programming language to learn first depends on what you want to do. I think that's and everyone has an opinion about what's best. For example, Python is really good for data science and machine learning, and it and JavaScript share a lot of features. In fact, they're borrowing a lot of features from each other all the time, like type annotations. So, TypeScript, as someone mentioned before, is just JavaScript with type annotations, with a fairly sophisticated type system on top of it. So a types superset that Microsoft developed on top of JavaScript. And then, Python is getting some of those features as well. And most people choose, if you want to do more web stuff, they go with JavaScript and then TypeScript. I would start, my preference now is to start with TypeScript and React together, just because the most senior engineers at places that I've worked, like Etsy, were always in favor of strongly typed languages or strongly typed protocols. So not just bare JSON or things that could get corrupted. Whereas like at startups or younger programmers who are just like starting and want to go and get things done fast, they don't want to worry about defining a schema. They just want, throw something up there and, mess with it until it works and then move on to the next thing. And I guess I'm in the older programmer category now. So I definitely prefer things to be more strongly typed. So I would start with TypeScript and React. React is a much simpler front-end framework. It's like a web component framework. So, the boxes that we're seeing on Exorcism, this was probably made with React. So, all the boxes for each problem is a component in React, and they all have similar features like an icon and a title, and they don't have to be made from scratch. You can just make one React component for all of them. And Angular is that, and plus a lot more. Angular probably includes routing and plugins, and it's a competing technology. Back in the day, there was a lot of Angular and something called Ember, and then also React. And I chose the lighter weight one, React to learn, but there are definitely jobs, and there's an ecosystem around every framework. There are people who learn Microsoft's .NET framework and learn C#, and that's not my camp, so I don't know very much about it. But you can definitely, you can always get a job writing Microsoft products. And so there's no absolute whenever you hear advice on this meetup, again, take it with many grains of salt, with like a salt bath. Ask many different people, and then realize everyone has their own experience and they have reasons for believing what they do, but no one has the one right answer. And yeah, technology is like is Wild West. There's lots of different communities, and you can choose which one, but people can tell you what works best for them.
Is that any different from front-end development as far as the languages?
So React and Angular are both front-end frameworks. Angular might even have some things that might be considered like middleware or closer to backend, but those are both front-end frameworks. And so by front-end, for those of you who don't know, front-end is the parts the users can see, so user-facing. Usually it's things that run in the browser, so on the user's computer. And backend are things that run on a server, so on the company's computer, in a data center, usually in a very like in a desert location like Nevada, where the land is cheap but not many people live there, and they all they do is have rows and rows of computer that they air condition and supply power to. That's usually backend, and it's super fast and efficient. And in fact, most of the world's companies, their servers are located together at Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud or Joyent or DigitalOcean. But then there's code that runs on your user's computer, like in Chrome or in Firefox or in Safari, on their laptop, and then that's front-end code. And so that's the difference between front-end and back-end.
Yeah. I want to say nobody ever knows or sees the back-end guy. He's very elusive. He can be.
Back-end people, of which I am one, do tend to like to work alone. It's not that we don't like people, but usually tend to be more shy and introverted, and they prefer their work to speak for themselves. Like very exacting, wanting to produce reliable services, but then letting that speak for them rather than being the face of it and talking to people. I think most backend people I know like don't enjoy talking to customers so much, but they want to make something customers use. That's my personal take on it anyway.
So are there any front-end developers in the Zoom chat now?
I'm a front-end developer, not employed.
Well, it sounds like, yeah, Richard is working on Angular. So it sounds like he is front end, and then Sean has outed himself as a front end developer looking.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, is there like a map or a plan that you would lay out for someone who wanted to be a front end developer?
Yeah, I'll start with that.
Say that one more time.
You got to start with HTML and CSS. Sorry. Yeah, so you'd have to start with the markup languages, HTML, CSS. I think once you start it, you'll see what you have to do. Like that would be the thing with all of it. Like if you don't understand like what the frameworks are, like he was talking about React or Angular, and there's all these different technologies, you don't know which one to do. Decide what the job is that you want to do. Like one of my friends makes apps, and he works remotely and he travels the country. If you wanted to travel the country and make apps, then you'd have to, the main language is Java, and then you work within the Android. If you did Android, you work within the Android Studio. It's a development kit, so it's like a program that you code inside of. But yeah, you would just, I guess you'd pick up the map as you're going. And then for front-end development, you got to make the web page, you got to be able to, I guess, put all the information in boxes, and that's all markup language. So the styling and how it looks, like even this page we're looking at, all those things are inside of a container of some sort, JavaScript track, each one of the little lessons, hello world, whatever. It's all written on a page. Looks like a bunch of notes. And then you would learn CSS to style it, to make it look like this. And then if you wanted to send information or make it animate, you'd learn an actual programming language like JavaScript or TypeScript is like advanced JavaScript. He's saying it's strict. So that means you have to actually say if it's a number or a string, which is like a word or something like that. In JavaScript, you can get away with with typing sloppy code, and it will just infer what you're saying and know what you're saying. But you can also make mistakes that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
TypeScript.
But yeah, I don't know. Just I think you should just decide what you want to do, and then if you want to make websites, then yeah, it's JavaScript for the most part.
Okay.
I will say, if you want to program like robotics or write systems code, like if you want to write operating systems or like the Google Chrome browser itself, those are in C++ and Rust and compiled languages, which are also strictly typed. And so that's a little more overhead. Like you can't easily change and interpret it. Like in JavaScript, you just like type it into your browser and evaluate things on the fly very quickly, but it's like very loose. Systems programming, you have to think and plan and everything. You sort of have to understand the existing structure before you can modify it. But it's, yeah, if you enjoy that, it's like definitely more planning ahead, and the cost of making a mistake is higher. So people, they write more tests, which is something like every engineer should do anyway. Yeah, I would say backend people are more used to writing tests, and then front end people should write tests. Many of them do write tests, but often if you gravitate to front end, you like making beautiful functional things, and the testing is a hassle that you do because like your mom made you or your boss, but it's not something that you went into front end because you love tests so much. But
Okay.
that's my feeling about it.
So if you're starting out as a beginner,
And it's real
And as you
programming
go
he's
on-
talking about, like actual real programming. Like making software is difficult. Real programming, making I'll just show you my website, but this is made in React, but it's not utilizing most of React, so not even using a lot of what it can do. It's not even using state. If it loads.
Oh wow, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, does it do it?
And I would say if you don't have your own website, oh, very nice. If you don't have your own website yet, making your own website is like a great, you can give yourself your first internship by making a website for yourself, which is what employers will see. This is very nice.
Are we both? Am I muted? Are we both talking?
I just muted myself.
Oh, am I muted? Possibly?
You're not muted.
Oh. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know, like I started learning React, but I'm not getting like a job through it. You'd have to know the fundamentals really well. It's better to focus on like the lead code stuff and learn the fundamentals of just programming, so you understand programming. You should be able to apply that to any language. And then if you learn something like Angular or React, you can just learn the things that you would about hooks or whatever, and about state, and then how to use that. And like, so React for this, when I click one of these on a normal web page, all of this would update, but on this, it's just updating the middle part. I make all these stupid things myself.
I love it.
Yeah, I do. I've been doing graphic design for a while.
It shows, yeah.
And then like I built this site off of that Catch a Fire website. This company contacted me. Well, I chose them on there, and then they chose me, and then built their site, which looks like this.
Mm.
But yeah, so only this part is updating, and React is putting this in here, and this isn't updating. It's just staying in here. Same thing with the header, and then the footer, which is nothing. But yeah, it's good for like Amazon. Like if you wanted to build a humongous thing and you have all these little parts of a website and you only want part of it to update, you don't need like tons of code and information. It's great, but for me, I don't even really need it. Just doing it to show that I could use it. But so far it hasn't helped me, but maybe it will someday. Yeah.
So
Very nice, thank you, Sean. Are there questions now that we have this great personal website in front of us? Which is inspiring. It's making me want to work on my own website.
Oh, it hasn't helped me. That's far.
It's the hero's journey.
.com, like when you're trying to get started,
Oh wow,
this is a good way to like build up your portfolio. Basically, portfolio is how you sell yourself by putting your projects up, create a website for employers to look at.
Okay, well, I'm going to make SMIT the host, and SMIT, can you see if you can create breakout rooms? And breakout rooms is a feature in Zoom that lets us, be in a smaller group, and then we can work on topics that are interesting to us. There can be a breakout room about exorcism. We can work on coding exercises, and there can be a breakout room about free code camp. And SMIT, if you don't mind, I'd like you to create breakout rooms and then lead the breakout room on free code camp on your computer. And so, like you saw me do last time, sort of offer, ask people to request remote control on your computer, load an exercise, which, as a group, you can decide where to start, like what the right level is for people, and then take turns completing it. Each person should probably spend like 5 minutes typing and everyone else guiding them to solve the exercise. Does that make sense? And then I can take the breakout room about exorcism, and which will be me and Sean here, and other people who are interested in more about algorithms and how to pass technical interviews. People who are further along, getting interviews now would like to do better on them.
Sure.
Smith?
Yeah, but where do we have the option for creating breakout rooms?
That's a good question.
Nope, sorry.
It's difficult to hear you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have it on my phone, so I don't think it's a feature on.
Oh yeah, I can see it. I can see
it's something we had to enable. Yeah, we had to enable it on the account, which I think is not a usable design for Zoom's point of view. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't guide you too much. If you share your screen, maybe we can help you navigate through the menus.
I do see this. Okay, do I create 2 breakout rooms?
Yeah, to start out with, that's the minimum number of breakout rooms. Otherwise, we're still all in the same room.
All right, the first one's going to Paul. And how do I assign one to myself?
Yeah, that's right. One to yourself.
Yeah, but I can't see myself here.
Oh, you're not? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to assign to someone else and you can join them later. So Carl, if you don't mind, you'll be in the free code camp breakout room and we'll assign that breakout room to you.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Nice.
All right, so I'll open all the rooms. What do we do now?
I think you want to label what the breakout rooms are, so people can choose which ones to go to.
There's one with the name Paul Pham, and the other one is going by Carl. So I'm just wondering if all of you are having the links to join.
I don't see it at the bottom yet.
I am seeing a pop-up that asks me to join.
So how do you join one of the breakout rooms?
Smith, you may have to assign people.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
or randomize them.
Yeah, I guess I was supposed to do that. Okay,
I think for today, if there's a random option, we'll choose that and deal with it.
Okay. I'll assign Now I guess we'll be having the options, right?
Your speaker on. Oh, no. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, there you go. Okay. There we go. Thank you.
We have the options, right? Okay. Let me
When you choose expert system, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Four of us.
Okay, so people who were in breakout room 1, thanks for staying. Thanks for finding us here. And now we can see the screen share, and yeah, I'll take a pass at reading it. So it says this is bank account. So simulate a bank account supporting opening, closing, withdrawals, and deposits of money. Watch out for concurrent transactions. So concurrent means 2 things happening at the same time. Bank account can be accessed in multiple ways. Clients can make deposits and withdrawals using the internet, mobile phones, etc. Shops can charge against the account. So those are things that we do every day with spending online in our bank accounts. So it says create an account that can be accessed from multiple threads, processes, and it should be possible to close an account. Operations against a closed account must fail. Okay, so this is on the more advanced end.
It's a beginner problem.
Is it?
There's other ones that are easier. Like, how about this one?
I mean, we can work on that too. Just if this is the first experience people have with exorcism. Yeah, this one's about right.
It's taking DNA, and then if you input the DNA G, you get C, which is the RNA. So it has to input that. And if you put nothing, there's a test for that too.
Yeah. So in exorcism, can you work the code? Can you run the code in the browser, or do you have to download and install it?
Yeah, you have to do it in a code editor.
Okay, well that's fine. And if you're okay with it, go ahead and clone this exercise.
I have it. I can just delete the code, and then we can solve it. So because I've already solved it.
Oh, well, then let's actually
not do that.
Let's do the bank account one then. That
Okay.
Yeah, because if they made it sound complicated with current transactions, but if they're just like letting Node handle,
we can look at it.
Concurrency.
It might not be.
Yeah.
I haven't done it. We haven't looked at that. But yeah, I'll install it.
Okay, so we will set it up. So what Sean is using is what's called an integrated development environment. So in the old days, programmers would just write in a text editor, but these days we have very advanced tools like this is VS Code, and then depending on the language you're using, it colors the syntax. You can tell that the words are different colors based on whether it's a keyword or a variable name. So it's easier to read, and it has text in the top right, and then also a list of files like a menu, a tree view of files in the left-hand bar, and then a terminal on the bottom. And the terminal is the way, this is the most powerful way programmers can interact with their computer. So instead of graphically clicking on things, they can type commands and get the computer to execute operations very precisely.
Yeah, it's not very. This thing that makes the code glow. That's great.
Oh, it already looks great to me. So
okay. So it should be installed. It just updates the.
Sure.
Yeah. And then it should be ready to go. There we go. Install. Oh, there it is.
There we go. So
okay, so there is. Let me close these. For each one, it gives you the file. Oh, this is the file. So it's telling you that it sets you up for each one. This one actually has a lot. Normally, it's just one thing saying make code. But this one it's telling you you're going to have to make many functions.
Nice. And the file ends in .js. So if you look at the name of the file that we're clicking, that tells you that it's in JavaScript. And then also, VS Code is a smart development editor. It can detect that it's JavaScript. And so in the lower right, it'll say JavaScript as well. And right now you see all these lines that say throw new error. That means if we run this, and that's my next question, is like, how do we run this? It should throw an error because we haven't implemented it yet. And this is a common feature in programming problems. So you spec out the operations that you want. So in this case, we want for a bank account class, which is like a category of objects, we want to be able to open them, close them, deposit to them, withdraw from them, get the balance, And this is familiar. Some of the language may be unfamiliar to you, but you know how bank accounts work. And these are the main operations people want to do with them.
And if this looks confusing, it's because it probably is. This is object-oriented, looks like programming. So that's actually one of the later things you learn.
That's right.
Before you get into like real programming.
Yeah. So we're throwing in the deep end. So don't worry if you're this is confusing to you. You haven't gone as far as object-oriented programming, but bear with us. You'll definitely learn something, and then you can go back and learn more about object-oriented programming later. Like if you take the free code camp class, there is one about object-oriented programming and creating objects from classes. But for now, just take our word for it. And yeah, are there test suites, by the way? Is there some way we can run it and see if it? Okay, great. So if they already wrote you the test, they did like the hard part of programming.
So it's going to run the program and it's going to put whatever this is, and if it says what it's supposed to do. So the account balance should equal 0. Yeah, this might be a bit advanced.
You can at least run it and see the errors happen. But yeah, so the tests. So it's using a testing framework called Mocha, and it's describing the way it expects a program to behave. So we expect, when you create a new bank account, so you can see like on line 18, it says account equals new bank account. So you're creating a totally empty new bank account, and you would expect its balance to be 0. And that's probably another test somewhere is when you newly create an account, you check its balance at 0. But it says, open the newly created account, deposit 100 into it, and then deposit 50. You can call it dollars, but the actual unit doesn't matter. And then it says expect that the balance to be 150, and that makes sense. If you make 2 deposits to your account, 100 and then 50, you expect the total to be 150. So that test makes sense.
And then this account.open, account.deposit, in the thing, we have to make these are little programs, functions. But this program is either going to probably just say true or false. It's either a real account that's open or it's a closed account. If it's a closed account, then none of the stuff should run because you can't put stuff into a closed account. This deposit's just going to store a number.
Right. And so I think right now everything should fail because we haven't implemented any of the methods. So you can see throw new error, throw new error, throw new error. So type npm test. That's the usual way of running. It's probably npm run test, or you need to be in the directory.
Okay.
So you need to install jest, which is a dependency. So just type npm space install. And there also might be other dependencies that are missing also. So after this completes, you can just type like npm I, and it'll install everything. But jest is a big one for sure. So welcome to JavaScript Node. So Node is JavaScript on the back end. So we were talking about back end and front end before. And Node definitely pulls in a lot of dependencies. People usually pull in a lot of code, a lot of third-party code written by others on the internet. And here, it says 14 tests failed. I mean, that's a lot. So basically all of them failed. And the goal, so progress is just to decrease that number. And it can be disheartening the first time you program to see so many errors, but progress is always fewer errors or different errors. And so we'll take the first error we can make sense of and try to make the numbers go down.
It'll show you to what the thing is that failed, but I think because we don't have anything in here, so maybe it doesn't matter now.
Sure. So I'll suggest one place to start is to make a variable for a balance. And this is called an instance variable. So when you create a new bank account, you're creating an object of bank account, and you can create many bank accounts. Like, Sean will have a bank account, I can have a bank account. And in the constructor is the first method that's run. So you see a method called constructor on line 7. And we'll remove the line that says throw new error. I mean, that's the first step to not failing the test, is to remove there, and then we'll set an instance variable on a keyword called this. So this refers to the current object, like the current bank account. And
Is equal.
This dot. And in this case, we already have a method called balance. We don't want to reuse that, but we want to create an internal variable, which we'll call underscore balance. So we'll indicate it's like hidden status, that this is not something that outside people normally will have access to. Balance is 1.0. But as long as you're consistent, in engineering, it doesn't matter what you do as long as you're consistent.
You can use underscores for variables.
Oh yeah, you can. And that's a convention. Lots of things are allowed, but JavaScript programmers do things of the convention to remove extra degrees of freedom, to remove like extra thought that other programmers can do. And someone else reads this, they'll be like, oh, I get that the underscore balance is supposed to be like a hidden variable that shouldn't be accessed from the outside. So someone if you're still with me, what do you think the balance of a new bank account should be? Let me make sure I have the speaker on.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think Joachim is still with us, so we're not talking to ourselves. So Joachim,
I'm taking a look here.
Can you see the screen okay?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay.
This is probably confusing, but it's just syntax. You have to, every time you make a class in programming, well, in JavaScript, you got to do constructor and then super. It just is what it is. If you don't do it, it doesn't work. There's a reason, but there's no point to explain.
But for the balance, let's go back to line 8.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think a new bank account, like let's say you create a new bank account at a real bank, you walked in and you sat in front of a desk with someone in a suit. What do you think your balance of that bank account is right after you create it?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's right, 0. So we'll set it to 0, and then that, we've made a choice. A lot of programming is making choices. So now that we've chosen to store the balance, which is a number in a variable called underscore balance, this gives us a clue about how to implement a few other things, like, for example, get balance. Let's hover over line 27 because it has a red squiggly line. No, it's expected to return. So for sure, now that we've made a choice to call the balance this dot underscore balance, what should we do here?
Sorry to interrupt. I have a question over here.
Sure.
In the balance, if I have to add a term or condition, like usually banks will have like minimum of $25 or $100, or minimum of $50. If I have to include that term and condition in there, so what should I do?
Yeah, that's a good question. We won't be that detailed here, but if you're right, if that was a condition, then you could say on line 8, you can say this dot underscore balance equals 5. Let's say $5 is the minimum balance that, like, the bank usually makes you say like, oh, would you like to? Usually banks are not in the business of opening empty bank accounts. They usually make you put a deposit in on the first day. So you're right, Akshaya, normally it wouldn't be 0, but for our purposes, it's okay to simplify it and make it 0 as the minimum balance.
And you could have some sort of logic that tests, like, is the bank account less than $20 or less than 20? Then it's some error or something like that.
So what if I do greater than $25? Anything greater than $25, if I have to include it instead of 0. So I just add a symbol of greater than or equal to 25.
Well, if you wanted to make that a balance, then the operation would be, for example, withdraw. Like, let's say you try to withdraw money on line 23, and the withdrawal would have decreased the amount of your balance to less than 25. Here, then you would say, like, if this dot underscore balance is less than or equal to 25, then throw new error, minimum balance.
Why don't we just pseudocode each line just in English, and then maybe be easier to understand?
Well, I think pseudocode is a good idea. So go ahead and just start a comment. So // and then type what you were thinking.
So the withdraw function has to subtract money, right? Subtract money from the balance.
Sure. And then what I think is missing here is that the withdraw method has an argument. So on line 23, in between the parentheses, they don't write it, but I think it's a mistake. Like, I think you need to add an argument called amount.
Oh,
And it could be anything.
yeah.
But we can call it amount.
So, yeah. So, balance minus amount, right? Whatever amount you're taking out. If you're going to withdraw $100,
Right. It
you
would
put
be
100 in here, and it's going to take it out of this. This is going to be what it does. Right.
Yeah, it would be, the new balance equals old balance.
And like you were saying, if this had some sort of where it has to have $20 in it, I guess you'd start the thing at 20 or something, but initially, and maybe that would change when stuff occurs. But if you'd have some sort of logic saying, if this is less than 20, something happens. Some sort of like, you're negative. It's like a error screen or something would pop up.
Yeah, Akshaya, are you at a computer right now?
Yep.
Would you like to request remote control and help us fill out this method? No pressure, but if you'd like to, then we can practice pair programming. It's actually remote control over Zoom is better for pandemics because there's no germs. Like no one is touching anyone else's computer. There we go.
Yep.
Nice. Thanks for playing along.
Just do it. Okay. Wait.
Back to VS Code.
Oh, sorry. Can you control it?
Or try requesting remote control again. You might have to like.
Oh, he's doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, spooky. Okay. Ghost programmer. So go ahead and press enter. That's just pseudocode. That's just a comment to tell us what we want to do. We haven't actually done anything yet. So it's green to show us it's a comment, but if you press enter, you can start a real line. And then as you're typing, the syntax coloring, the color of the letters will show you that you're actually typing executable code. So not the curly brace, but the empty space above it, line 25. There you go. And so you would start by, I would start by creating a new variable called like new balance, for example, just to make it clear that this is. And that's good. So we want it to be all the same name. So in JavaScript, we'll use something called camel case. So it'll be new, lowercase is fine the way you spelled it, no space, and then uppercase B would make it, so backspace twice, one more, yeah, and then type B. Great. And then that's a variable, and you can just say equals. So this is like a nice thing about JavaScript for beginners is that you can just declare new variables on the fly by just assigning to them.
Okay, it's okay. Do we want to make this one as?
Sure, you can. So
you know
the aesthetic of this JavaScript uses lower camel case. I know this sounds very picky, but every other JavaScript programmer does this in the world. It's just lowercase. The first word is lowercase. And great. And then let's assign to it. And then we'll get back to Sean's comment, which is that we should make this a constant. But let's assign to it the old balance. And the old balance is what you see on line 8, which is this dot underscore balance. So type just like what you see on line 8.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And you can autocomplete. You can press enter to select the choice that the VS Code is. Yeah, that's a nice feature about this. You typed it out anyway, but so instead of equal sign again, we want to subtract. So instead of equal 0, we want it to be what you see on line 24, which is the old balance minus amount.
Is there a reason why we use the underscore in the period?
Yeah, so that is just a convention to mean that we're using a variable which this object should know about, but that other people shouldn't know about. So because we're doing special checking about balance. Like for example, we're checking that balance can't be negative or balance can't be greater than minimum. Other people may not do that check. Like it's as if, would you let someone who doesn't work for your bank reach in and change the number in your bank account? Like, no, you wouldn't. So in this case, calling it underscore balance is kind of like a polite request to leave it alone from the outside, even though technically there's nothing stopping someone from the outside from calling like Sean's bank account dot underscore balance. They could do that, but the underscore is kind of a request to not do that. And then in real life, you know, there are stronger security measures in place at your bank to prevent anyone from changing your balance. But this is the programmer equivalent of, it's a convention just to mean like, leave this alone. We're the only ones who can change it. So Akshaya, the squiggly red means there's an error. And that's because there is nothing called balance in the current scope.
Well, he should compare the comment and then that line of what he's doing.
Yeah, so you want to, so line 24 is pseudocode. We can't copy it exactly. So on line 24, the comment says balance minus amount. And that just means the old balance, the previous balance minus the amount. And so this dot underscore balance, that's the old balance. You type that correctly. The minus sign is correct. So you leave the minus sign there. And then you just type amount. Then you just type amount, because amount is the parameter in line 23. It's the only parameter given to this function. So great. You choose that. Type a semicolon, because that's how you end a statement in JavaScript. And then there's still a squiggly red line under new balance. So let's hover over it and see what that error is.
Or it does prettier is checking spelling.
Sure. So to be, you know, the newest version of JavaScript requires variables to be declared as either immutable or immutable. It means, can you change them later or not? And
Correct.
well, we don't need to type another comment right now. We just need to fix line 26. Yeah, that was a good effort. So in front of new balance, so you know where there's the red squiggly line, move to the beginning and type the letters CONST, which stands for constant, and then a space. And what that means is that, go ahead and type a space to separate it. There you go. And then hopefully if we wait, it'll go away.
Could be just the spelling of it. Does it say anything? Oh,
says,
we're not using it.
All right. Well, we haven't used it yet. Okay. So very picky, but we solved one of the problem, and then progress is always getting new errors. So const means that new balance, once we assign to it, we can't change it. And this actually prevents errors. So we intend for this never to be changed after we've assigned it. And if we do accidentally change it, the compiler will warn us. So that's all that const means there. Go ahead and press enter to insert a new line between line 25 and 26. Great. And then here is where you would check for the minimum balance, which for simplicity, let's just make the minimum balance 0. But for your bank, you could make it 25, you can make it 100. And so hold on a minute. Before new balance, we'll type the keyword if. So if is a statement in JavaScript that lets us take conditional action. So if space open parentheses, and that's shift number 8 on most keyboards.
This is a Japanese computer, so.
Well, and the parentheses is still above. Well, I hope so. Now I have oh, that's a curly brace. Okay, your keyboard may be different, Akshaya. So wherever you see the parentheses, yeah, I don't want to be Amaro centric for sure. There are many keyboard layouts in the world. The parentheses is over.
That's a bracket. So the other one that's
it's smooth.
round.
It's a curved. There you go. So new balance space, and then you want to use the less than sign, which
Less than or equal to.
You had it right.
Less than I think is correct. And then the minimum balance was 0.
Okay.
Great, and then close paren.
I think he needs an equal. Or it's not gonna. It's gonna look for negative numbers.
Well, I guess it depends on which case you're assigning to. So I want it to throw an error in this case, it was less than 0. But if you were saying,
But what if it is 0?
0 balance is fine.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And here you can go ahead and press tab to indent. So we're inside of the scope of the if statement. And you're going to type in essentially, I mean, go ahead and press tab until you need to close paren for sure. Close parentheses, press enter. Tab. So anytime you open a new scope, you indent. And so now we're inside of a scope started by the if statement. And then you're going to type what you see on line 12, for example. You're going to say throw space new space error. That's right. And error is going to have an uppercase E. So, and you can choose, the option further down that's uppercase. Go ahead and backspace all of that. Sometimes the autocomplete gives you a lot of options that aren't helpful, so you have to be careful about choosing those. Uppercase E, so it's like the 7th or 8th option down. You can choose that one. Yeah, and then open paren, so you know where the open parentheses is. And then open single quote. Both double and single quote will work, but by convention, we use single quotes. And then we'll type something like negative balance. That's a good error message. So that tells the user exactly what's gone wrong, which is that we now have a negative balance.
He's gonna put that if statement in brackets.
Yeah. And then semicolon ends that. Great, thanks Akshaya. So that's a lot of typing from you. So we want to give you a break. Normally we would hand it over to the next person, but I think Jakem, you are not at a computer right now. So we'll
do we have to save this or file save, or it automatically saves over here?
You're right. So the dot right next to the file name, bank account.js, shows that hasn't been saved yet. So if you want to save, if you're on a Mac, you would type Command S. If you're on Windows, you type Control S. Windows or Linux, it'd be Control S, and then you would see the white dot go away next to the file name. But don't worry about it. You can give up remote control. Sean will take over again. And
okay. And at this point, can we run this and see just once, like if the code's all good?
Sure. I mean, it will still have some errors for sure, but let's save it and run it. Yeah. So Sean, go ahead and Command S and then run PM test in the
no brackets.
If it's just one line, it doesn't need brackets, but you're right. The correct form is to always have curly braces.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, it's better form to always put curly braces there. So remember, there were 14 errors before. There's still 14 errors. So we, which makes sense because we actually didn't update the new balance yet. So what we did was check for negative balance. But there's actually more to do before any of the tests pass. So, but thanks for your service, Akshaya. You definitely got us further. To finish the withdraw method, we actually have to do something with new balance, right? We can't just check that it's less than 0. If it is less than 0, Sean, go ahead and do what you want to do, which is put curly braces around.
So how would you, if you didn't put the braces, how would you do another line of code? Oh, just can't have another line of code. No?
That's right.
I have to do this.
Oh yeah, the door there, I think it's for show. I don't think anyone is seriously using it. Great. And then let's press enter. And then go ahead. Was there a question?
Supposingly, if the new balance was something like less than or greater than equal to 25 or something, so how would you type that? That will be.
So instead of on line 26, instead of checking if new is less than 0, you would check if it's less than 25. So
and then you would probably less than or equal to. How would you type that?
You would just put an equal sign after less than. But if 25 is your true minimum balance, then less than or equal to is not correct in this case. It should just be less than.
Correct.
Yeah, a minimum balance means that it's okay to be, at that balance, but not less than.
So this is actually a valid symbol, right? Basically less than and equal to.
That's right. That's a valid symbol.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So Sean, go ahead on line 29. Assign new balance to the old balance. So that's the final step to updating the balance.
Assign new balance to old balance. Do we have old balance as a?
So the old balance is on line 8. Like this is how you assign zero. And by old balance, I mean the current balance is the better word.
Oh, so just this dot balance equals
this dot underscore balance equals
new balance.
That's it.
Sorry, this computer screwed me up.
It's okay. You said it was a Hebrew keyboard?
No, it's Japanese. I lived in Japan for a while. It's my wife's computer though. I would not purchase a Japanese computer even though I speak Japanese.
No.
Still, just the keys being in the wrong spot screws me up.
Oh yeah, muscle memory is like a
equals new balance.
Okay, so how does withdraw look to people? Does this look complete to you?
There is an error, right? Get balance at line 32.
Sure, we can fix that next, but we're looking at just the withdraw method right now. So lines 23 to 30, does that logic look okay to everyone? And don't worry about the syntax. VS Code is smart enough to tell us if there's syntax problems. But think of just think of the human like bank logic. Does it look okay to you? It looks okay to me.
Yeah, we made this function, right? This program, you can enter the amount, and then we made a new balance, which wasn't there before. So we're declaring that. And the new balance is going to be whatever this is, which starts at 0 minus the amount. Hopefully there's going to be money in there when we actually minus something. If it's 0 and we minus something, it's going to throw this error. If it's not 0, it's going to pass it. And then, so this is going to be set to something. If we put 25 or something, and this is whatever, it should be a number, then the balance is going to become this. It's going to become that number.
Yeah, well, it looks okay to me. Let's move on to get balance. So we're nearing the end of the meetup, but we can definitely finish this in the time that we have left. So get balance is a getter. So get is a new keyword. And so in order to remove the error, we have to return something. So in line 33, which is blank right now, we just type return. And then what would people guess that we should return based on what we were updating in the withdraw method? Any suggestions?
For your new balance?
Right, or the current balance. So we assign new balance to the current balance on line 29. So we should just return that. So this dot underscore balance. And if there's still there's a purple squiggly, which is it's more of a warning than an error. So we can hover over there and see what it's complaining about. Underneath get balance, it's still a purple dotted line. Oh,
I think it's just because
that was the highlight. Okay, well, it's done. Okay, so now we can work on the deposit method. So because we know how to withdraw, deposit actually is simpler than withdraw because there is no maximum. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but like in real life, some bank accounts do have maximums, but in our bank account, you can put in infinite amounts of money and it will take it. So it should have a parameter called amount. I agree. And then I would just assign directly to this dot underscore balance. So Joachim and Akshaya, in your heads, you can think about what you would type in this case, and maybe offer some advice to Sean if you have some ideas.
So in this scenario, we're finding out the deposit amount.
In this scenario, you're putting in more money.
Okay.
Say,
And if I'm not mistaken, are we making a new variable since we're depositing money?
In this case, we don't need a new variable. We use that in withdraw just to check so it didn't go negative. But in this case, we can just assign directly to this dot underscore balance. So this is tricky if you haven't seen it before. If you're updating a quantity, then it just appears as, like a equals a plus 1, for example, is the way you would update a. So if you're updating this dot underscore balance, you would just type this dot underscore balance equals this dot underscore balance plus the additional amount. So you repeat it twice. So it appears on both the left-hand side of the equal sign and the right-hand side. And equals is assignment in this case. It's not like equality like in the way you learned math or algebra. So Akshaya, you still have remote control. If you'd like to type in this part, go to line 20 and finish the assignment. So type in equals space equal sign. And then what do you think the new value of the current balance should be? Remember, it's the current balance. So just repeat, type this dot underscore balance again.
underscore this balance?
This dot underscore balance. So the same thing on the left-hand side, you repeat it on the right-hand side because you're updating it.
Yeah, just click, enter.
You can press enter, or you can click, or you can type it all out. So yeah, once you learn how to use the autocomplete, it's definitely a huge time saver. Yeah, it fixes spelling errors, all kinds of things. So okay, so you can't just assign it to itself. I mean, you could, but nothing will have changed. So you want to add something to this. What do you want to add to the current balance?
Now you want to add money?
That's right. So what variable in the current scope tells you how much money you're depositing? It's on line 19. And it's in red because you haven't used it yet.
Should we add?
That's right. That's right. Nope, because then we don't always want to add 90. We want to add whatever amount is requested. So look on line 19. Yeah, I said, sorry, the line was 19, not the amount. On line 19, we are given a parameter and we haven't used it yet. And it's not deposit, it's the other word.
Yeah.
On line 19.
Deposits the program or the function you make it.
That's right. And then semicolon. Yeah, great. That's a valid JavaScript statement. Now, is it the right JavaScript statement? Does the logic make sense to you for the deposit method? It is a lot simpler than withdraw because there's no maximum.
Basically, the existing balance plus the amount which was deposited.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
You both agree? This looks good?
Yeah.
Okay. Sean, go ahead and save and run a test.
Okay.
Fingers crossed, everyone. We want fewer than 14 failures. No dice. Okay, this opening and closing an account is
yeah, I think I can do that first. So the first test is
it's because it always opens the account. Yeah. So the first thing we can do is just remove the throw new arrow line. So just make that an empty line, but we'll come back and put something real there and remove the semicolon too. And so this, fingers crossed again, fewer failures. Nice. Okay. Good job, everyone. Five tests passed, 9 remaining.
Able to see at least one of them.
Yeah. You can see which ones failed. Yeah, and it's going to be closed.
It's hard to see that.
So there's new, I think.
Oh, yes, it's saying these all passed. The things that we just wrote.
That's right.
After we look through, pretty safe. It's fine.
So because we're short on time, we'll do the rest of it kind of quickly, but then I'll ask Sean to share this code with everyone afterwards, so you can work through it yourself again if you want to get a deeper understanding. So we need another variable to keep track of its open or closed status. So after line 8, we'll press enter, insert a new line, and we'll call it this dot underscore status. Or actually, instead of status, backspace, we'll call it is uppercase O, pen is open, and then set that equal to false, lowercase f, false. So this is a Boolean type in JavaScript. The literals are true and false, just like you would consider in English for binary logic. And now when you open it on line 13, instead of throwing an error, what we want to do is set this dot underscore is open to be true. So yeah, you can copy and paste that and change the false to true. And then on line 17, you can paste that line again and set it back to false. And then in lines for deposit, so in between line 20 and 21, I would insert a new line just to check if the account is open. So you can say if open paren this dot underscore is open. Yeah, perfect. And you don't have to compare it to anything. Booleans can just be used to it. Right? Yeah, exactly. And then you can have an open curly brace, which is the proper way to do it. Just press enter to separate them. Not around the whole thing, just a new statement. So leave line 22 the way it is. We're going to start a new scope here. So just press enter. And then type, and then type throw new error, just like you remember it. Like throw space new space error. And open paren, open single quote. And we'll say, oh yeah, you're doing much better than I would on this keyboard.
Account is not open or something?
Yeah, that's a great message.
Account's closed?
Yeah. And then you can copy and paste.
And do it on withdraw?
Oh, but put a semicolon at the end of line 22. I mean, it will accept it without it.
It'll do it on its own. And we're going to do that and withdraw, right? Same time?
Yeah, that's right. And then let's save and run it. So this is, or actually, let's pause and look at what we've done. So we declared a new variable called is open. It's an instance variable, which means it belongs to every bank account can have its own value that's different. So that's what an instance variable means. Underscore balance is our first instance variable. Underscore is open is our second one. Instead of being an integer like balance was, is open as a Boolean. So and it starts out as false. Let's say you go to a bank and you open a bank account. And this part is a little weird because in a real bank account, I feel like your account would already be open the minute you left the bank. But in this case, you have to explicitly call open to open it. And then it changes the instance variable on line 13 from, is open equals false to is open equals true. And then you can deposit and withdraw. And if you don't open first, it'll throw an error, like on line 22 and on line 30, it'll throw that error if you didn't open it first. And then otherwise, if you did open it, it'll do the normal deposit and withdrawal logic, which we all agreed looked fine before. And then finally at the end, we'll call close, and that will set is open to false. And and there's no getter to see whether it's open or false. But so I think this looks good. And so who thinks if we run it now, we'll get all successes and no failures?
I think so.
I think so too. Guaranteed to succeed is where we are.
There might be another test case that we didn't look at. Why did
Oh man, even
One
worse
failed.
than before. Only one
two
passed.
fail, one pass?
Okay,
Did
maybe
we
we
do
made a
that?
mistake with our logic. Let's scroll up and see.
Whatever.
Maybe we misunderstood the open and closed logic. So
Yeah,
slow
okay.
down here. It says okay, so in all these cases, it thinks the account is closed. Let's actually go to the test file and go to,
It runs code that open each time.
yeah, okay, that looks good. So in this test here, it says bank account can withdraw money. So it's this test here, can withdraw money. So line 25, it creates a bank account, it opens it, it tries to deposit. Here, when it checks deposit, this to underscore is open is true. Oh, okay, we got the logic wrong. It's if it's not open, we have to flip the logic, right? Should be a bang, which is for both of them. Perfect. Okay. All right. Well, I missed it. It's very. It's one or the other. You know, if it doesn't work one way for Booleans, I'm kidding. It benefits from some more careful thinking, but usually, if there's only two options, you can try one way if the other way doesn't work. So let's save it, and you know, now we're like 99% guaranteed to succeed.
One failed, one total, 9 failed, 5 passed.
Okay, well, we got 5 passed before. Let's find one test that failed. And this is an iterative process of programming. You often
Already closed account. I actually show a list of the ones that failed and ones that didn't. Checking balance of closed account throws error.
It should have thrown an error. Oh, if you even if you call it get balance and it's closed, then it wants you to throw an error there as well. That's what that means.
Oh,
so in get balance, and you can go to the test file, the spec file, and go to, it says checking balance. So here they close the account and then they check the balance down here. You close the account on line 45 and then you check the balance on 46 and you expect to throw an error. So that's saying that you can't even check the balance of a closed account. So on line 39 or after line 39,
it needs a
you can copy
statement.
and paste those 3 lines. Okay, so
Do you get what he's saying? We can't check the balance. This is checking the balance, and if it's a closed account, that shouldn't work. So it needs this little thing saying if it's not open, it's got to have this error.
I guess that makes sense. If you're an ATM and you've already closed your account, it won't let you check the balance of it. So, okay, let's save, and we should at least go up from 5 passed to 6 passed.
Should. Nope.
No. What else is going on?
Probably should just do one test at a time.
We are. This is the checking balance test. Let's go to checking balance.
Same thing.
Scroll down to
Where it is.
the trace, which tells you what line the error occurred on. So keep going up. So the one where it says checking balance, here, pause there, and then the line it occurs on is, so if it is not open,
you need to throw a value error instead of an error.
Oh, thanks dysbulic.
No problem.
So instead of a generic error, I would have been stuck on that for a long time. Instead of a value error on line 41, instead of a generic error, it has to be a specific class called value error, which is this one down here. So I missed that. They gave us the value error on line 47. So
is it with a capital?
it has to be exactly the way you see it on line 47, so capital V. I know it's hard to tell.
Oh, sorry.
Once you've been staring at these letters for a while, it's hard to tell.
And then it takes a string.
It
Probably.
you can give it a string, but this constructor doesn't take one. There's only one error here, but in JavaScript, I think we just save it and try it. I think it will ignore extra arguments, but maybe in a proper like type checked way it wouldn't. Okay, hooray! 6 passed, 8 more to go. So I know that we are at time for our meetup, so thanks everyone for joining us. If you're not tired, Sean, we can like finish this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you're welcome to join us for it to go to completion. If you have to go, we've enjoyed having you with us. Hopefully it was fun and useful to you as well. We'll turn on the light for sure. And please join our Discord if you haven't. The Discord link is in the chat. I'll repost it again, but we'll post our solution whenever we're done, so you can keep studying it, and then a link to the exorcism problem, so you can examine, both the problem and the solution. So
deposit and account throws it there.
Actually, does anyone want to request remote control from Sean and can help us finish this? So we have 8 more tests to finish, and this is a bank account problem. So a bank account lets you open and close it, and then if the bank account is open, you can deposit money into it, you can withdraw money out of it, as long as it's not negative, and you can get the balance.
It's the same thing, just with value error.
And oh great, well we'll let someone help fix the value error. So
well, before that, I just wanted to mention that I'll just be sending out the survey again, just to get a sense of what you got from today's meetup and how you think we can improve and do better. So just please look out for it, and well, fill it if you can. Yeah.
Thanks, Carl. Yeah, if you can paste a link to that in the Discord and in the Zoom chat.
Yes.
Yeah, if you have to leave, just grab the link and fill it out when you have time. And we'd appreciate hearing from you. We're always trying to make it better. And yeah, and also we have a meetup on next month. So these are always on the 3rd Tuesdays. So the next one is going to be in September. Actually, Sean, do you mind switching to a web browser briefly? And well, it's okay. And then going to meetup.com. So the 3rd tab, I think, is already open. Oh yeah, no, the Zoom bar is always in the way. The 3rd tab.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. And click on try free CodeCamp meetup. There you go.
Okay.
And then events. So our next one is September 21st. That'll be great. That'll be 2 days after my birthday, and I'll be in Missouri building houses again. Oh, there's a hack night. So so Tuesday is tradition with me and my friends. We just work on projects, and you can consider it a continuation of tonight, except it can be creative projects, and be like a kit you bought online. It can be learning courses. I'm probably going to be working on mesh internet, which is like a way of sharing internet between neighbors over the rooftop. And this is going to be an online event. You're also welcome to come to our new house. Our new house is actually a few blocks this way. We're rehabbing it. It doesn't have a working bathroom yet. We're working on it, which is the main thing keeping us from inviting more people over there. Like we would have had this meetup over there, but we have internet, electricity, and sort of.
Are you guys remodeling yourself?
Yeah, it's a self-rehab. This is the Arcology project to make affordable housing, and it's that one. Could be a hacker house. Maybe people like stay there while they're studying or completing their courses, and they're there with other coders learning. And it's kind of like a creative retreat. Like you're in the same mindset as everyone around you, and then it helps you focus. But it's also you cook together, like relax together, invite friends over, and yeah, it's just a house with a purpose of learning to code. or to work on like cool coding projects in the world. So
That's a cool idea.
Oh yeah. If you're interested in the idea, please keep in touch. Please come visit when you're back in Detroit, or if you're already in Detroit. The address is 3731 Northwestern. So it's on Dexter. It's like near the highway and the boulevard. And yeah, we'll start having barbecues there, and the weather gets nicer, and it'll be great. But please RSVP to any of these events if they sound fun to you. And some of you mentioned you wanted to meet more than once a month, and we listened. We think it would be fun too. And so next Tuesday is going to be hack night. Not dangerous hackers like Mr. Robot. Although you can be a dangerous hacker too. We have no way of knowing, but most of us will be working on fun projects. Okay, let's go back to VS Code and finish it.
Well, I'll be signing off now, so I'll see you guys then.
Thanks, Carl. It was good seeing you.
All right.
We'll catch you online.
Okay, so the account is closed. It's throwing the same error that we just did.
So someone who still wants to, does anyone want remote control to finish typing? So the error is basically we used a generic error class in JavaScript, and it's expecting value error, which is a special error class that they gave us on line 47. It's okay.
Do you know why?
What's that?
Do you know why? Do you know what the difference is? Like why? I've never used value error for error.
Well, value error is subclass from error. So on line 47,
So
error is a subclass.
when you're catching the error, if you want to check if it's a value error, if it's a specific error that you threw and not an error from some other part of the system, if you subclass it, then you can do instance of, and you can do if error instance of value error, then you know that it's your error. Otherwise, it could be like a number error or any other random kind of error.
That makes sense.
It's one of the reasons for subclassing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It could be another error happened, like the power went out or some network timed out, which would be a different error than the one of your account not being open. And you want to distinguish between the two of them. But if you don't mind, go ahead and everywhere you see error, just replace it with value error, and we'll run it again. Oh, nice. You used multiple cursors. It's a pro move. Okay, closer. 5 left.
Okay, so this work now. Close account.
Okay, so I think this one, if you try to close an account twice, you should throw an error. So again, copy and paste those 3 lines, like 21 through 23, or there for sure, and move that to the beginning of the close method. Great.
Open's gonna need something similar to
like if you open an account that's already open.
Something like that. There's gonna
be open already opened account. Yeah, you're right. But you would flip the status check, the flag. So if it is open, then, and you can change the comment in line 14, say account is open, even though it appears to ignore that comment, but for our own sanity, because we're diligent programmers, we want it to be correct.
Okay.
Cannot withdraw a negative amount. Let's try and knock out. If we think ahead, maybe we can fix all the errors at once. So cannot withdraw a negative amount. Can deposit negative. Oh, okay. Yeah. It sounds like you have some ideas how to check for that.
Oh, well. That's not. That's a negative amount. Oh, it just needs some sort of a statement saying like, if amount is negative, then throw error or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it can be an if statement before, like line 35. You can insert another if statement before the is open check.
I'm just gonna copy this one up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and this happens a lot in programming where like the beginning of your method is like a bunch of validation checks. Yeah, exactly. Less than 0, then you can.
Oh yeah, that works.
and then throw, and instead of negative balance, you can call it negative amount. It's more descriptive. And then you can copy and paste those 3 lines exactly verbatim.
It's a negative amount. Oh, that's a negative amount. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably combine both of those. Yeah. And then where else?
And then I think that's it. And there one last test, which I note, which these are really great descriptive names. Because they fail, we actually know exactly how to fix them. So it says reopened account does not retain balance. So that means when we close the account in like line 19, so at the very end, when we set this is open to false on line 23, let's insert another line after it, or a line before it is fine. And then what should happen to an account when you close it, like to the balance?
Oh, balance should become 0.
Yeah, and this is debatable, you know, like should your bank account just like liquidate your amount when you close it? I mean, who can say? Banks. If you want to rob a bank, give the man a gun. If you want to rob the world, give the man a bank. Right, no S at the end of it. Okay, and now, you know, we're guaranteed to succeed territory.
We'll see.
Guaranteed. Yes.
That's it. Nice.
All right. Good job, everyone. Thanks for watching. Yeah. Great session.
So
I'll give you
just,
a high elbow five.
Yeah. So just real quick, look at what a hard problem looks like on here, because I remember looking at one and I just thought I can't even. One of them says create a language. I just create this. Although I think it's probably a simple language. Just track.
Yeah, but please submit that problem online and let us know what happens to it.
Oh, it'll if it passes, then you submit it, and it's just that's it. You just
Okay.
you pass it yourself as long as it works.
Okay.
Fourth
is an existing declarative programming language.
Oh,
So to write an evaluator for a simple subset of fourth.
Oh, okay, I read that wrong.
Okay, it's stack based. So you're right. It is challenging, but not impossible. Like, yeah, you could learn to do it in a few lessons. If you don't know what stacks are, you can learn that.
Oh,
and then,
that's probably what I need to do then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess this does get harder. Probably not as hard as the ones you were talking about, though.
We can get infinitely hard if you want to program robotics or.
Oh no, the leak code sites you were talking about must start. I'm sure harder.
This one probably goes to like as hard as those, but
just that's
the hardest.
There's only 10 hard problems for JavaScript.
Okay.
Although this says every language, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's enjoyable to solve hard problems, but if your goal is just to like get a good job and call it a day at 5 and you know enjoy the rest of your life, there's nothing wrong with that either. So yeah, definitely find what you enjoy in life, and don't keep pushing yourself to satisfy someone else's goals. Yeah,
and I think for a junior developer position, if you just work through the medium, all the medium, you'd probably be golden, because it's just going to have you practice the fundamentals.
Yeah. Well, everyone is also moving on with their evening. So dysbulic, it was nice to meet you face to face. We revealed our faces, which is pretty close as far as hackers and cyberpunks get.
No, it's been fun. I enjoyed solving some programming problems.
Nice. You were in the other room doing a free code camp?
Yeah, we did hacker rank, maybe. We did some site and did a couple of logic problems.
Oh, nice. Okay, so not free code camp. So yeah, we might just change this to like a generic learning to code meetup if people are interested in that as well, because I mean, that's actually something I enjoy doing and have the most experience is these algorithmic and data structures problems. Whereas, you know, my website looks like crap. Sean's website looks much better than mine. So like I, in some ways, an imposter holding a meetup teaching people to build like great websites or get a job making a website, because I would not get hired to make anyone's website.
If you ever want to collaborate, sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I saw your stuff. Your website looks.
Yeah.
I like it.
Sean,
Yeah.
am I able to drop off?
Like actually
Yeah, Akshaya, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, thanks, especially participating with the pair programming. So please stay in touch. If you haven't joined our Discord, we'd welcome you there, and also, you know, the next meetup.
Yep. So where is the link for the Discord? I think nobody posted it over there. If you can let me know the link.
It's on the meetup.
It's in the chat, but I'll post it again.
I could have sworn it's on.
Oh, I think it got wiped. I think it got wiped whenever we went to breakout room and back, but not a problem. I will copy the invite link again.
You're right here.
Sure. I'll get it from there. Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you can see it. It's the first one.
Yeah, of course. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off for tonight as well. And this Blue Look, hopefully I'll see you online, or maybe this Friday at the next metagame community call.
Yeah. I'll run into you somewhere, I'm sure. Thank you for setting this up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.